Hello and welcome to Unacademy's Let's Crack UPSC CSC English channel. I am Rajshekhar Reddy, faculty for Current Affairs. And before starting today's lecture, I would like to tell you something about the Unacademy Learning App. So, I am Rajshekhar Reddy, a faculty for Current Affairs. I have cleared the civil service examination in 2014 and I have 7 years of experience giving this examination. So, my experience will be useful for you to crack the exam at the earliest point of time. So, to tell something about the Unacademy Learning App, Unacademy is India's largest and finest platform for online civil services education. So, this institution has made rapid progress over the past couple of years in the field of online civil services education. You need to download and subscribe to the Unacademy Learning App, and by doing so, you get a number of advantages. So, what advantages do you get by downloading and subscribing to the Unacademy Learning App? So you have daily live classes. So the classes are live and you can chat with your educator, ask questions, engage in discussions and answer polls all while the class is going on. So you can carry out a number of activities during the live class. So you can chat with your educator, ask questions, you can engage in discussions and you can also answer polls during the live class. The courses that are available on the Unacademy Learning app are structured in nature. They comprehensively deal with the civil services syllabus. So they comprehensively deal with the entire syllabus from A to Z of the civil services examination. India's best educators are teaching on the Unacademy Learning platform and they conduct live tests and quizzes on a regular basis, and these tests and quizzes will be very useful in giving the examination, and you have unlimited access to the content on the Unacademy Learning app, so you can watch the content any number of times without any limitation. So as I told you, India's best educators are teaching on the Unacademy platform, so you have access to the best online coaching facilities on the Unacademy Learning app. There are a number of different courses that are available on the Unacademy Learning app. So you have various faculty members designing various courses. You can have access to all these courses by downloading and subscribing to the Unacademy Learning app. There are a number of subscription options which are available. You can subscribe for 1 month, you can subscribe for 3 months, you can subscribe for 6 months, 12 months, and 24 months. The best option is the 24-month subscription option because it gives you a 67% discount. So you get a 67% discount for subscribing for 2 years, and you can get an additional 10% discount. So you will get an additional 10% discount if you use my code RRUPSC. So RRUPSC is the code which you need to use to get an additional 10% discount. And further, you can convert the entire transaction into no cost EMIs. So no cost EMI facility is available, and this transaction can be converted into no cost EMIs which can be extended up to 24 months. So this is the beauty of the Unacademy Learning app. So the coaching fee on the Unacademy platform is relatively cheap compared to a number of offline coaching institutions. So the offline coaching institutions charge much more than what Unacademy charges, and you have unlimited access. You have this access throughout the 24 months period. So why are you waiting? So let's crack it and start preparing for the civil services examination. So coming to today's lecture, as you all know that I have started a lecture called Top 200 Topics in Current Affairs for Civil Services Prelims 2020. So we have already finished 11 lectures and this is the 12th lecture. So please uh, see the 11 videos on YouTube, and we have already dealt with 70 topics in these 11 lectures. So all these topics are very useful for the civil services prelims examination. Some of them are also useful for the mains examination. So in this lecture we will be dealing with some more topics. So what are the topics that will be dealt? So Chandrayaan 2, so this was a partially successful mission which was launched by ISRO last year. Then a summit which took place between India and China, an informal summit called the Mambalapuram Summit. We will look into the outcomes of that summit. Then we will look at an index called Composite Water Management Index, Nobel Prizes, Grand Slams, One Nation, One Ration scheme, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, which has become very controversial and which was in the news. There was a super Earth which was in the news, K218b, and Upwipe and Curious oil field, and the two organizations, namely the United Nations Human Rights Council and the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights. So these are the topics which will be dealt. These are the 10 topics which will be dealt in today's lecture. So let us start with the first topic. So the first topic is a topic with respect to space research. I would like to tell you that in the prelims examination, there will be at least 1 to 2 questions on developments in the field of space research. So you must follow all the developments in the field of space research from mid-June to September 2020, since the exam has been postponed this year. So you need to follow the developments over the past 1 year. So any development in the field of space research is important, not just for the prelims but also for the mains examination. So there have been some important developments with respect to the Indian space research program. So one of the most anticipated missions of ISRO was launched in July 2019, and this however did not bring good news for our country, because we did not expect this mission to end in a failure. So though the orbiter is functioning, the lander and rover have not functioned. So we will look at the features of this mission. So Chandrayaan 2 was India's second mission to the moon. So this is not the first mission. This is the second mission launched by India to the moon, and it is a follow-up of Chandrayaan 1, which was launched way back in 2008. So Chandrayaan 2 is India's second mission to the moon, which was launched in July 2019, and it is a follow-up mission to Chandrayaan 1. Chandrayaan 1 has been successful. It identified the presence of water on the moon in 2009. Chandrayaan 2 was launched from Satish Dhawan Space Center. So this is very important. So Satish Dhawan Space Center is the launching site. So most of our launches are made from Satish Dhawan Space Center. So this is located in Sriharikota. Sriharikota is in Andhra Pradesh. It is in the Nellore district of Andhra Pradesh. So this is something which is very important. So Chandrayaan 2 launched from the Satish Dhawan Space Center in Sriharikota, India, aboard a GSLV. It is the Geosynchronous Satellite Launch Vehicle on July 22nd, 2019, and reached the lunar orbit on August 2019. So it actually reached the lunar orbit. During the September 7th, that is Indian Standard Time, moon landing attempt, ISRO officials lost contact with the Vikram moon lander as the probe was just 1.3 miles above the lunar surface. Officials have been unable to reach the lander since the lost contact on the intervening night between September 6th and September 7th. So this is something which is important. So this mission has 3 components. One is the orbiter, which orbits the moon. The other is the lander. The name of the lander of this mission is Vikram. This lander has failed, and there was also a rover which was called Pragyan. So these are very important for your exam. So this is a mission which comprised of an orbiter, lander and a rover. The orbiter was successful, but the lander and rover have failed in realizing their objectives. And this attempt to land on, that is to soft land on moon, was made on September 7th, but it could not be successful. Despite the apparent crash landing of the lander, ISRO has confirmed that all the instruments on board the orbiter are working well. So though the lander has failed, the instruments on the orbiter are however successful. The current orbiter carries 8 different instruments, and Indian scientists are already poring over some of the mission's very first scientific data. On October 4th, ISRO released photos of the orbiter's high resolution camera, which took a picture of a crater, that is Boguslavsky E. So the orbiter is functioning perfectly, but unfortunately the lander and the rover could not be successful. This is something which you need to know. So this is the orbiter. This is the image of the orbiter from the ISRO website. So this is the image of the lander. So the name of the lander is Vikram, named after Vikram Sarabhai, the father of the Indian space program. It was designed to function for one lunar day, which is equivalent to 14 Earth days. Chandrayaan's rover, so it actually had, as I've told you, there is also a rover in Chandrayaan 2. So the name of the rover is Pragyan, and which translates into wisdom in Sanskrit. However, this could not be released onto the surface. So unfortunately, this mission did not succeed completely. So as far as Chandrayaan is concerned, they will not be asking you many questions. So, but you just need to remember the name of the lander and rover. The name of the lander was Vikram, and the name of the rover was Pragyan. There are some small points which you need to remember. So the first successful attempt to the moon is Luna 2 mission, which was launched by Russia or Soviet Union. So this crash landed on moon. This is something which you need to remember. There is another mission which is called Luna 9, which soft landed successfully on moon, and Luna 10. All these three missions belong to the Soviet Union. So Luna 10 is the mission which was the first spacecraft to orbit the moon. These 3 points are very important. So Luna 2 is the first mission to impact the moon. So it crash landed deliberately on the moon's surface. Then Luna 9 soft landed on the surface of the moon, and Luna 10 became the first mission to orbit the moon. Neil Armstrong was on board Apollo 11. So this is also important. So that is the first successful landing of humans on the surface of moon. So there are some factual information which you need to know. So this is something which I wanted to tell you. So Chandrayaan 2 was India's second mission to moon. The first mission was launched more than 10 years ago. It was just a partial success. So since the lander and the rover could not be released or did not function, we cannot call it as a complete success. So next topic for today's lecture will be a summit between India and China, which took place in October. Interestingly, this is an informal summit. So this is not a formal summit. It was an informal summit. So the trend of having informal summits between India and China started in 2018, and the first informal summit was held in Wuhan. So Wuhan is a major city of China. As you all know, coronavirus was initially identified in Wuhan. So Wuhan was the place where the first informal summit took place between India and China in 2018. So as a follow up of this summit, the second informal summit took place in 2019, and Chennai hosted the second informal summit. So this informal summit presents an opportunity to the leaders of India and China to resolve their outstanding differences. There are a number of issues on which India and China differ. So this acts as a platform for discussing these issues. So what are the outcomes of the Mamallapuram summit? So this is very important for your exam, not just the prelims examination, but also for the mains examination. So the Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, and President of the People's Republic of China, Mr. Xi Jinping, held their second informal summit in Chennai. So Chennai hosted the second informal summit, and it was hosted by Chennai on October 11th and 12th. Here is the crux of the outcome of the second informal summit between the two leaders in the coastal town of Mamallapuram in Tamil Nadu. So among one of the important developments was China's assurance that it will sincerely act upon the massive trade deficit between India and China. So this is very, very important for your exam. So China emerged as India's largest trading partner in 2018, and India's trade with China is however tilted heavily in favor of China. So India exports less and imports more from China. So the balance of trade is heavily in favor of China. So we have a whopping $57 billion worth trade deficit. So India has expressed concerns over this very high trade deficit, and China has assured that it will look into this issue sincerely. So among one of the first important developments was China's assurance that it will sincerely act upon the massive trade deficit between India and China. President Xi has said that China is ready to take concrete measures to develop the trade deficit, which currently stands at a whopping $57 billion. which the other country justifies as the difference in their protection capacities. So China says that these differences are because of the huge protection capacities, the differences between the production capacities between India and China. That India says that we don't have enough market access to the Chinese market, and that is the reason why the trade deficit is very huge. China, as I have told you, is India's largest trading partner, while India is China's 11th largest trading partner. So India is not China's largest trading partner, but China is India's largest trading partner. So in a decade to 2017-18, India's exports to China rose by $2.5 billion. In the same period, the Chinese imports rose by $50 billion, and India has been raising the issue with Beijing for several years. So India has been complaining for several years that this is unsustainable. The huge trade deficit is unsustainable. However, not much has been done in this field. The trade volumes have increased significantly, and the trade deficit has also increased simultaneously. Similarly, the trade balance is in favor of China. So this was one issue which was dealt at the Mamallapuram summit, and China has promised to look into this very important issue. Another development was China's appreciation of India's concerns regarding the regional comprehensive economic partnership. President Xi has assured that India's concerns over RCEP will be duly discussed. So there was a mega trade agreement which was proposed by ASEAN. So this is a mega trade agreement proposed between ASEAN and six other countries with which it has free trade agreements. India, however, had withdrawn from the RCEP negotiations later. So India in November or December 2019 has officially withdrawn. So at the third RCEP summit, the Prime Minister has made an announcement that India will not be part of RCEP in its present form. So, but before this summit, the Indian government held discussions with China over RCEP. So, another development was China's appreciation of India's concerns regarding RCEP. So, as I've already told you, India has a huge trade deficit with China, and if the RCEP is concluded, we need to reduce the tariffs on Chinese goods. And India has expressed apprehensions over RCEP because India may become a dumping ground for Chinese goods. So, although both Xi and Modi emphasized on the importance of having rules-based global trading system, the Indian Prime Minister clarified to China that a deal should be balanced and equitable. China said it has heard India's concerns and has agreed that there are issues regarding the ambitious regional free trade pact. Both leaders felt that the two countries should cooperate on important regional and global issues. So this is something which you need to know. So the first issue which was discussed between Xi Jinping and Narendra Modi was trade deficit. Then India also expressed concerns on RCEP. Third, both the countries have agreed that they should cooperate on important regional issues and global issues. So both countries have decided to cooperate on regional and global issues. Then Kashmir, most importantly, India has taken a landmark decision on August 5th, 2019, and it has repealed the special status which was enjoyed by the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Later, it was converted to two union territories. So Kashmir was deliberately avoided as it was a delicate issue. So India did not want China to talk on this issue. So and that is the reason why it was deliberately avoided. And both countries have also spoke of defense cooperation. So she also talked about the need for enhancing defense cooperation. So both Xi and Modi said the two countries need to look to the future. This was perhaps a reference to the various military drills between the two countries. So China wants better defense cooperation between China and India, but India actually has a number of apprehensions on this issue. Defense cooperation between the two countries is largely limited to training joint exercises. We have a joint exercise with China which is called Hand in Hand. So there is very less defense cooperation between India and China, and this cooperation is confined only to training, joint exercises, and other professional interactions. Even though China is looking to position itself as a top arms dealer, joining the ranks of US, Russia, Germany, France, and India is unlikely to be a buyer of Chinese defense goods because of the obvious conflict of interest originating from their own border dispute plus continued support of China to the Pakistani military. So it is highly unlikely that there will be significant defense cooperation between India and China because of the border dispute that India has with China. In addition to that, we also have disputes with Pakistan, which is often regarded as an all-weather friend of China. So these are some of the outcomes of the Mamallapuram summit. So this is a very important topic, not just for the prelims examination, but also for the mains examination. So there was a term which was coined, Chennai Connect is the term, sorry. Chennai Connect is the phrase that has been coined, and we have already heard of Wuhan Spirit. So these are two words which are important. So Wuhan Spirit and Chennai Connect are coined during these informal summits. So this is about the Mamallapuram summit. So building on the Wuhan spirit, the Prime Minister spoke of the Chennai Connect for a new era of cooperation between India and China. Then there is another topic which is very important for your examination. This is Nobel Prizes. So this topic, awards, categories and winners, is a commonly asked question in the civil service examination. So there will be at least 1 to 3 questions in the prelims examination. This is not important for your mains, but for prelims it is very important. So you must know the important awards and the recipients of these awards. So this is very important for the examination. Nobel Prizes obviously are regarded as the highest achievement in some 6 areas where they are given. So what do we know about the Nobel Prizes 2019? So this, as I've told you, forms part of awards, categories and winners. The Nobel Prize. So you need to know something about Nobel Prizes. Then we will look into the recipients of this year's Nobel Prize winners. So the Nobel Prize is a set of annual international awards bestowed in several categories by Swedish and Norwegian institutions in recognition of academic, cultural or scientific advances. So Nobel Prizes are a set of annual prizes. So they are announced every year, and they are announced by various Swedish and Norwegian institutions. So they are not exclusively Swedish or Norwegian. They are announced by both Swedish and Norwegian institutions in various categories, and they are seen as recognition of academic, cultural, and scientific advances. The will of the Swedish chemist, engineer, and industrialist Alfred Nobel established the first Nobel Prizes in 1895. So the will, so before his death, he wrote a will, and this will clearly specified that there should be Nobel Prizes. It should be created in his name. So the will of the Swedish chemist, engineer, and industrialist Alfred Nobel established the 5 Nobel Prizes in 1895. The prizes in chemistry, literature, peace, physics, and physiology or medicine were first awarded in 1901. So the first announcement was made in 1901. Initially, the Nobel Prize was given only in 5 categories. So this is very important. So these are chemistry, literature, peace, physics, and physiology or medicine. The prizes are widely regarded as the most prestigious awards available in their respective fields. This is also very important. In 1968, this is very important. Sveriges Riksbank, that is Sweden's central bank, established the Sveriges Riksbank Prize in Economic Sciences in memory of Alfred Nobel. So the Nobel Prize in Economic Sciences was not there from 1901 to 1968. It was announced only in the year 1968, and the first recipient was announced in 1969. So the award is called Sveriges Riksbank. Sveriges Riksbank is Sweden's central bank, and this award is officially called the Sveriges Riksbank Prize in Economic Sciences in memory of Alfred Nobel. The first prize in economic sciences was awarded to Ragnar Frisch and Jane Tinbergen in 1969. So the prize, so this is the very important. I think they have asked in previous year questions. I think they have asked this that Nobel prizes were initially given for in 5 categories. It was later in 1968 that the economics Nobel was instituted and was announced since 1969. So there are some other points which you need to remember as far as Nobel Prizes are concerned. They are not awarded posthumously. So Nobel Prizes are not awarded posthumously. They cannot be given after the death of an individual. However, if a person is awarded a prize and dies before receiving it, the prize may still be presented. So if the announcement has been made, but the person dies after the announcement and before receiving the prize, then the prize is given to the person on which it has been announced. A prize, this is also very important. The Nobel Prize cannot be shared by more than three individuals. So a maximum of three individuals are given a Nobel in a particular category. So this is very important. You might have noticed this. So every year the Nobel Prize that is announced in various categories are shared by two or three scientists. This is very, very important. So the Nobel Prize for the years 2019. So what are the who are the persons who got the Nobel Prize for 2019? So in the field of physics, Nobel Prize in Physics was awarded for contributions to our understanding of the evolution of the universe and Earth's place in the cosmos. So the Nobel 2019 Prize in Physics was awarded for contributions to our understanding of the evolution of universe and Earth's place in the cosmos. James Peebles, Michael Mayer, and Didier Queloz. So these are the three persons who got the Nobel Prize in Physics. This is very important. So James Peebles, Michael Mayer, and Didier Queloz. So these individuals got the Nobel Prize in Physics. Nobel Prize in Chemistry was awarded for the development of lithium-ion batteries. So this is very, very important. We are talking a lot about battery technology in the context of climate change. So electric vehicles, battery technology, etc., etc. So I think this is very, very important for this year's examination. So the Nobel Prize in Chemistry was awarded to John B. Goodenough, M. Stanley Whittingham, and Akira Hoshino. So John B. Goodenough, M. Stanley Whittingham, Akira Yoshina were awarded the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for the development of lithium-ion batteries. Then the next Nobel is the Nobel in Medicine. So William G. Kaelin, Sir Peter J. Ratcliffe, and Greg L. Samensa were given the Nobel Prize in Medicine for their discoveries of how cells sense and adapt to oxygen availability. So for their discoveries on how cells sense and adapt to oxygen availability, for their discoveries in that region or in that area, they have been given the Nobel uh, Prize in Medicine. Then the Nobel Prize in Literature. So this is very important. Peter Handke, so an Austrian, was given the Nobel in Literature for an influential work that, with linguistic ingenuity, has explored the periphery and the specificity of human experience. So Peter Handke, for an influential work that, with linguistic ingenuity, has explored the periphery and the specificity of human experience. And what else? This is very important. The most important Nobel Prize that is commonly asked in the examination is the Nobel Peace Prize. This year, the Nobel Peace Prize was given to Abiy Ahmed Ali. So this is very, very important. So Abiy Ahmed Ali. So he was given the Nobel Peace Prize for his efforts to achieve peace and international cooperation, and in particular for his decisive initiative to resolve the border conflict with neighboring Eritrea. So he is the president, if I'm not so, president or prime minister of Ethiopia, and he has been given the Nobel Peace Prize for his efforts to resolve the border conflict with the neighboring country, that is Eritrea. So this is very important. So Ahmad Ali, Abiy Ahmed Ali is the person who got the Nobel Peace Prize. Then there is this Sveriges Riksbank Prize in Economic Sciences in memory of Alfred Nobel 2019. This is very, very important for this year's examination because a person of Indian origin was given this award. So Abhijit Banerjee, Esther Duflo, and Michael Kramer were awarded the Sveriges Riksbank Prize in Economic Sciences in memory of Alfred Nobel for their experimental approach to alleviating global poverty. So for their experimental approach to alleviating global poverty, they have been given this particular prize. So this is a very, very important topic, Nobel Prizes. So you must be thorough about the recipients. So Nobel Prizes 2019, a very important topic for civil services prelims 2020. So this is about the Nobel Prizes. Let us move on to the next topic. So this is about the Nobel Prizes. Let us move on to the next topic, that is Composite Water Management Index. So what is this Composite Water Management Index, and who releases this index, and which state ranks first in this index? So as I've already told you, index and parameters is a very important topic for your examination. You can expect at least 1 or 2 questions on indexes, parameters, ranking of countries, etc. So here we have an index that is important because it has been released by the Niti Aayog, and since it lays an important, it focuses on water management. This can be asked in the examination. So the National Institute for Transforming India, that is Niti Aayog, has developed the Composite Water Management Index. So this index is developed by Niti Aayog to enable effective water management in Indian states in the face of the ongoing water crisis. So this index has been released to promote effective water management in Indian states in the face of a growing water crisis. The index comprises of 9 themes with 28 indicators. So there are 9 basic themes or parameters on the basis of which this index is formulated. So what are those 9 themes? So these are the 9 themes, very important. So source augmentation and restoration of water bodies, source augmentation, groundwater, major and medium irrigation, supply side management, watershed development, supply side management, participatory irrigation practices, demand side management, sustainable on-farm water use practices, demand side management, rural drinking water, urban water supply and sanitation, policy and governance. So you just have to remember these 9 themes on the basis of which the Composite Water Management Index is formulated. So you can see the weightage given to each theme. So on the basis of these weightages, they have released the Composite Water Management Index. So what does it say? So the states are classified into 2 groups. For the Composite Water Management Index, the reporting states were divided into 2 special groups: non-Himalayan states and northeastern and Himalayan states. So non-Himalayan states are one category. The northeastern and Himalayan states are placed in one more category. So which state ranks first in the Composite Water Management Index? This is very important. So Gujarat ranks first in the Composite Water Management Index. It is followed by Andhra Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Goa, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu. So Gujarat ranks first in the Composite Water Management Index. In the northeastern and Himalayan states category, so I have already told you that the states are placed in 2 different groups. One is the non-Himalayan states. So in the non-Himalayan states, the state of Gujarat is the best performing state. And in the northeastern and Himalayan states, Himachal Pradesh has been awarded the first rank 2017-18, followed by Uttarakhand, Tripura, and Assam. So this is something which is very important for your exam. So Composite Water Management Index is an index released by Niti Aayog. It is based on 9 themes. So these are the 9 themes. States are classified into 2 categories, and Gujarat has been ranked first in the Composite Water Management Index. Then let us talk about the Grand Slams. So sports is also very important for your civil services prelims examination. So you can expect 1 question in the field of sports. So they can ask you questions on tennis. So let us see something about tennis here. So in tennis there are 4 major events. These 4 major events are called Grand Slams. There have been a number of questions in the past on Grand Slams. So you must know what are Grand Slams and who are the winners of the Grand Slam events of 2019 and 2020. So in 2020, I think we had only the Australian Open. So who are the winners and the runner-up in 2019? That is very important. So first of all, what are Grand Slams? The Grand Slam tournaments are also called majors, are the 4 most important annual tennis events. The Grand Slam itinerary consists of the Australian Open, which is
Greetings.
so the Grand Slam itinerary consists of the Australian Open, which is played in January, then French Open, then Wimbledon, and the US Open. So there are 4 Grand Slams: Australian Open, French Open, Wimbledon, and the US Open. The Australian Open and the US Open are played on hard courts. So this is very important. So Australian Open and the US Open are played on hard courts, and we have the French Open, which is played on clay. And we have the Wimbledon. So French Open is played on clay, and Wimbledon is played on grass. And most importantly, Wimbledon is the oldest of all the Grand Slams, and the person who has the most number of Grand Slam titles is Roger Federer. So Roger Federer has 20 Grand Slam singles titles, and as in the women's category, it is Margaret Court who has 24 Grand Slam women's singles titles in her career. So these are factual information which is important for your exam. So this is very important. So they may ask you a question on the 2019 events and the 2020 events. So first 2020, so the winner is Novak Djokovic. So these are the winners. So in 2019, US Open was won by Rafael Nadal. Wimbledon was won by Novak Djokovic. Uh, French Open, Rafael Nadal, Djokovic. So in 2019, two Grand Slams were won by Djokovic and two Grand Slams were won by Rafael Nadal. In 2020, we just had the Australian Open, the French Open, and the uh, Wimbledon were not played as on today. We don't know whether they will be played or not. So in 2020, Australian Open was won by Novak Djokovic. So at times they may ask you the runner-up also. So be prepared, and you also must know the nationality of the winners. So Novak Djokovic is from Serbia. Rafael Nadal is from Spain. So this is something which you need to know. So they may also ask you questions in the women's category. So who won the women's tournaments? So this is important for your examination. So Australian Open 2020 was won by Sofia Kenin. She is an American. Then we have Bianca. So these are the persons who won the Grand Slams in 2019. So Bianca Andrews, she is a Canadian. Simona Halep, I think she is a Romanian. Then we have Ashley Barty. Ashley Barty is an Australian. Naomi Osaka, she is a Japanese person. So you just need to remember the names of the Grand Slam winners. Very important for your examination. So thank you for listening. So please call me at this number if you have any doubts, 76739399090. And please use this code RRUPSC if you subscribe to the Unacademy Learning app. If you like the video, please comment and subscribe to the channel. You can also follow me on this Telegram channel, Rajasekara Reddy K. So thank you and have a good day.